see if the calves are feeling smart today. They're on their way in. Looks like they're all finding the gate this morning as well. Normally that's an issue. So I know a lot of you have been asking kind of how much I'm feeding and what I'm feeding. So these guys, if you guys remember when they were on the calf starter, that grain was, I think it was 14%, 14 to 16% protein. And now they're on the, now they're on their, I wouldn't say finishing diet, but just their growing diet, which is, this grain is about as cheap as you can get. Of course, we buy it by the ton. This stuff is 8% protein, which isn't high, but once again, these guys are on pasture, so they don't need a very high protein percentage for it to do some good. So cheap grain, they're putting on weight with it. And so how much each of them are getting? Well, currently they're getting about 3.5 pounds a day. Sometimes a little less, occasionally about 3, but anywhere from 3 to 3.5, and I try to split that into 2 feedings. So I feed them morning and night. They'll get 1.5 pounds in the morning, 1.5 pounds at night. And the more often you feed them, that's going to improve your feed efficiency. And so if you just gave them all 3.5 pounds in one sitting, they're not going to use that feed nearly as well. And so if you could even split it up into 3 feedings, it'd be even better probably, but for time's sake, it's not really worth doing, for me at least. Anyway, so that's a little bit more about the grain. If you have any further questions about that, I can answer some of your questions down in the comments below. And as you can tell, the feeders are pretty well maxed out right now. I do need to add one more because they're getting pretty tight now that they're getting bigger. And one thing you might also notice, they're in the silo field. They're back in the original field they used to be, way out there. And I really didn't want to muddy up somewhere in the pasture, and so they're on this concrete pad, and at least their front feet are on concrete. Just to minimize kind of the mud, because we've had quite a bit of rain the last week, as I'm sure a lot of you have. And so a little bit more about gains. I'm expecting these guys, since they're on some young pasture and some pretty decent pasture, I'm expecting they're getting 1.5 pounds a day just on 1.5 pounds a day just on grass. And with this supplemental grain, I'm sure they're gaining close to 2 pounds, if not over. So pretty happy with how they're growing. And anyway, and so now let's get to the bad news. If you guys remember, I had 41 of my own personal calves, and then the 2 that were on the nurse cow are technically my dad's, but they're in here as well. So I had 41 that were doing really well. They all weaned. Yeah, so I had 41 left. I thought the worst was over and I was on the home stretch, but we had all this rain, And if you guys remember, I had those two twins, the black Baldy and the one that was solid black. Well, the solid black one, like I said, we had some nasty rain this week, and you know, he's a smaller calf. I wouldn't say he was growing very well, and he kind of had a hay belly, but here's one of the twins here, the one that's still alive. Anyway, the other one, he ended up getting pneumonia within a day. I treated him with some Draxxin, and he acted like it helped, and then 2 days later he was dead. So and the day that he died, that morning, he wasn't even coughing. He was walking around nibbling on grass, so I thought, hey, he's gonna come out of it, but he couldn't. So so I did lose one, which is kind of tough this late into growing them, because instead of having 150 in him, which is what I paid for him, now I have probably close to 300 bucks that I put into him, and he died and I lost that 300 bucks. So instead of making 300 on him, I'm gonna, you know, have to take 300 from another calf that I make money on. So so yeah, I lost about 300 bucks on him, which isn't ever good when you've only got 40 calves. So a big guy that's got hundreds of calves, they can afford that. But anyway, so that really hurts. And so but for the most part, I think the rest of these are healthy. They came out of the rain. They even had a barn to go into, and I don't know if they didn't make it to the barn or he didn't make it to the barn or what, but anyway, he just didn't come out of it. And so yeah, so I'm one short. Now I have 40, started with 43, I think. Yeah, I think I personally started with 43, and now I'm down to 40. So I lost 3 total. Maybe this is 4 total. This is 4 total. I had 44. So that definitely cuts into my percentage there. But the rest of them are looking really good. I don't know if you saw some of these. They're starting to slick off, lose their winter fur here. And they are growing quite well, I will say, especially some of the bigger steers. And if you guys remember, I don't really want these heifers to get big. They weren't implanted, so so if I do decide to keep them, you know, they won't be bigger than they should be. So as you guys may know, it's getting close to finals, at least for me, and so hopefully I'll have a little bit more time on my hands to get some things done, and that means more videos. So if you're interested in some more videos, they should be coming out soon. And we've been working a little bit on the combine, so hopefully that video will be coming out soon. And also some welding. I'm trying to get a little kind of my progress in welding, so trying to film that for you and get a video piece together. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you are looking forward to more videos, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And with that being said, I will see you guys in a couple days.